So step one would be to look at the little labels that are on each bed. This one says clay, so this one should be treated with clay. So how do we do the clay treatment? First, we're going to make a little bit of space in the soil without mixing the soil. We're going to push down the fork, and then we're just going to wiggle it a little bit up and down just to open up a little bit of the soil. And we're going to do that every few inches with just a little bit of a wiggle to be able to open up the soil. And then a few inches we do another line. It actually doesn't have to be really in line, just every few inches we give a little stab and wiggle in the soil to create these little bit of an opening. Okay, then the next step after we've done that, we can take one of the buckets here. It already has clays in there that was hydrating, and then there's this little tool here right there that allows to mix things, right? And so you would take the drill, put this part of the shaft in the drill, mix up the clay so it becomes a slurry, so there is no thick stuff at the bottom, so it's nice and mixed, including what's in the little pot here. And then you can use that pot to take the liquid, the slurry of clay, and then water it in where you've created the opening, and all over the bed actually. And once you've done that, you've got your clay treatment for one bed. Each bed receives one bucket that has been filled with some clay and water to make a slurry. We use that twisty tool that we can put on the drill to be able to mix the clay in. And the clay are in these bags. So for each of them, you can unpack one of these, break it into about half and half pieces, and then put half of it in one bucket, fill it with water, mix it in. And then each of these beds that have label, so this one says NC, like no clay, but that one on the other side says clay, so this one needs to be treated, and so on and so forth. This one says clay, this one says NC, like no clay. And that's how you do the clay treatment here. And then of course, given that the weather is going to turn too cold pretty soon, we're also going to harvest the green tomatoes, and we can tell the Sunnyside and Woodside Mutual Aid people that the tomatoes can be fried if people ask them. There are multiple ways to cook them, but one of the easier ways to do that is to fry them, slice them, bread them, fry them, or just fry them without breading. And so looking around, yeah, there's a tomato that matured between now and last week, and so there's a few tomatoes here. There's still some peppers to harvest, and yeah, so that's the job for the weekend. Oh yeah, one more thing. The fork, like every other tool, has its space right there in the red tool shed. All of the electric tools are here in the green bag as well. You have batteries, you have drills, and then the harvesting material wasn't necessarily put away like it should be. These pots that we see here, or these, how do you call them? Colander and, I don't know, basins. They should be actually in there with the knives, with the big knives and small knives that we use for the harvesting. And then the door was open, so stuff got a little bit wet, but here we have some bags with elastic band to bind things together if we need to. Ooh, these ones got wet, but we have little sandwich bags here. We have a little scale to weight things, and there is a notebook somewhere. Where's the notebook? Well, we should be measuring the weight of what we harvest and write it into that notebook, which might have been left in the kitchen there. But if not, then just measure the weight and send me a text on Instagram or on Facebook, or if you have my number, on my number. There we go. And then to close the door so the wind doesn't open it up, we make sure that we take that board here and we nudge it right under the handle here, so next time there is a rain, the stuff inside of the tool shed doesn't get a shower.